This is Jimmy.
And Scott.
And this is the Lead Domino podcast powered by MDP Lacrosse. On this podcast, we will be discussing with athletes, coaches, and other professionals what specific mental techniques they utilize to prepare, compete, and recover. These are the questions that fascinate us, and we want to hear what our guests do to be their best mentally. And hopefully, you get a little something out of these episodes to help move you forward. On today's episode, we host Jimmy Madden. Jimmy is a Hicksville native and attended Kellenberg Memorial High School and then NYIT as a member of the lacrosse teams. To stay close to the game, he coached at Friends Academy, LIU Post, and most recently, Oyster Bay High School. Currently, Jimmy is a co-owner of Peppercorn's Restaurant and Catering in Hicksville. Our conversation touches on a lot of the similarities between coaching sports and running a restaurant. As we identify the common threads of each industry, we get a glimpse at how Jimmy approaches the good, the bad, and the ugly of running a restaurant. Along with all of this, we recorded during the height of the COVID-19 virus quarantine and got a first-hand account of one of the hardest-hit industries during this time. Jimmy shares great insights from his experiences, how he decides on his quote-unquote lineup for the night, and why being approachable is important. Keep in touch with Jimmy and Peppercorns on Instagram. His personal is Mr. Turts McGurts. That's MR_TURTS_MCGURTS. And the restaurant, Peppercorns_NY. That's PEPPERCORNS_NY. Also visit www.peppercornsny.com for more information about the restaurant. Jimmy and I had a blast during this conversation, and we hope you find some value and enjoy it. Jimmy Madden, welcome to the podcast.
Jimmy, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, no worries. I think all we have is time right now, actually.
Yeah, I know.
At least some of us, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, a little bit about me. Grew up here in Hicksville, born and raised. I think I'm third or fourth generation. I went to St. Ignatius Loyola School.
Nice.
And then went over to Kellenberg Memorial 4 years, which was a great experience for me. Personally, I love that school, still do. It was a great experience growing up. Gave me, started the basis, the foundations, of, I guess, a lot of things that, got me through to my life right now.
Cool.
A lot of beliefs and stuff that they instill in your head over there that really can get you through a lot of things in life, whether it's your job or your everyday living or just as simple as something as tying your shoe.
Sure. Is that a joke because they had no laces in the penny loafers?
Yeah, I mean, that's throwing a lot of kids off. I'm so, I won't name any names. But,
yeah. It was probably me as a freshman.
It was a great 4 years there. Those 4 years, no regrets there whatsoever. And then I went to New York Tech, New York Institute of Technology in Old Westbury. Short-lived. I went there, obviously for college, for a good college education, also for lacrosse. I was recruited by Jack Haley, great lacrosse coach.
Legendary coach Haley, for sure.
I'm sure many people that listen to this podcast know him well.
Yep.
He was able to pull myself and another classmate at Kellenberg of mine, Peter Monastery, over there. And, obviously I didn't do great on my SATs. So I had a red shirt my freshman year. And that was tough because, you get to practice every day with the team.
Right.
It's you work hard and when you're that young, I guess, 17, 18 years old, and you're practicing, and, you still can't play in the games.
Right.
Sometimes that can do something to your psyche. And, at the time, I guess I wasn't realizing that, but, something was happening.
Yeah. And along with that, I think there's a lot of kids who don't realize how different college is. I don't care if
Mm-hmm.
you're commuting, if you're living on Long Island, or if you're away. Like you go to college and you're playing a sport. It's a huge adjustment, and a lot of
Yes,
people don't understand that.
and
And
that's
a lot of it
that's
you
what
can't really understand until you actually go through it. But there's coaches like us and older guys like us that can try and ease that burden. But it's it's
oh,
it's a big time
100%.
adjustment.
100%. Because that was, like you said, the commuting. Because I think maybe into my third week of school, maybe my first month, when one of my buddies was like, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" I'm like, "Oh, I got a class." You can skip class. I'm like, skip class.
Right.
Like to me, that was a whole new, whole new thing for me because Kellenberg, I had to go to every class.
There was no
no
skipping. Yeah.
You couldn't skip it, and you didn't get a free period. Your free period was study hall. You were still in that building.
Yep.
So for me, that was like, oh, you want to go play ping pong for an hour? Let's go play ping pong. And so between the commuting and also not having the right mindset, I came into college, coming off the highs you have from senior year, and
Yep.
then you go back to freshman year, you're a freshman again, you're grounded again, or you should be, whatever you came in with a chip on your shoulder or ego, that's out the door.
Sure.
And, I had a lot of, I had great upperclassmen that, they tried with me. And for most part, my freshman year, I had a real good core of good upperclassmen that really helped me out, but the worst, the thing that I'll regret is not asking enough questions with them. Like, how do you balance things out?
Yeah. Now that's interesting. Did you? Because I could relate to that. But where did that come from? Did that come from like you thought you knew the answers,
Oh,
or you
100%.
just didn't even spend the time to even think of questions to
Well,
ask?
I guess you can put it in both.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you take the question part was, if I ask a question, like they're gonna look at me like I have 10 heads. Like you should know this already.
Right. Just like the normal peer pressure, embarrassment of
Right.
asking what you consider something stupid, but it's really important.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you look back at it now, it's just the right thing to do. But it was the question part, and then it was also not going in like all I had to do was, okay, I just had to make a schedule. That's all you needed to do was,
Right.
Wake up at a good time, have a good breakfast, get something done, get a paper done, go to study hall,
Sure.
go to the library, and everything was there for me. I had everything at the palm of my hands if I wanted it. I just didn't utilize anything.
Sure.
I guess now, I had the fear of missing out. I had FOMO.
Yeah.
What was this one doing? What was that one doing? What was I going to miss out on if I go to this class? What was I going to miss out if I, skip that workout? And it's so freshman year for me was, as I look back on it now, was I should have taken it as something I could just embrace it. I'm on the team. I'm helping the team out. I'm at every practice. Just do the work,
Yep.
and the reward will come.
Sure.
And unfortunately, it didn't come that way because I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't mature enough, and I took the immature way. And I just got by my freshman year of being cleared to play for my sophomore year.
Yep. Yep.
And I worked hard in the summer because I had to take summer classes. And then the fall season came, played, and of course I, slacked off again.
Sure.
And, come season time, I was ineligible. And, it was another setback. And it was like, okay, now I'm starting to, kind of veer away from lacrosse and the whole aspect of it and the team aspect of it. And I was getting hell from my upperclassmen, from my coach.
Sure.
because they believed in me, but I don't know if I believed in myself or I just was being lazy.
Yep.
So I lasted through that season, and then I came back for the fall, and I said, you know what, college isn't for me.
Yeah.
And, and it's not for everyone.
It's not. It's definitely not.
Unfortunately, I have regrets that I never finished, but, it is what it is. But I was very lucky to have such a great coach in Jack, where he didn't want me to get away from the sport.
Right.
He was like, he was not happy with me leaving, but he was also, listen, I have a job for you. Do you want to start coaching? And the last thing I, expected him to do for me, since I had let him down, was, still continue to help me out.
Sure.
And he called Cal Wynot over at Friends Academy, and he got me an assistant coaching job when I was 21 years old.
Yeah.
And it was a great. I mean, I was there 3 years, and it was great 3 years I was there.
Yeah. Well, coaching high school gives you perspective. It definitely grounds you. It wakes you up. It'll shake you up a little bit.
Yeah, and I was able to, at least I was able to talk to the kids and explain to them, this is, because we did have a lot. My first year, we had a lot of juniors, not that many seniors on the varsity level.
Okay.
So I got to spend a good 2 solid years with these guys, and Friends Academy, the program at the time was not at its peak like it once was.
Yep.
But we made the playoffs those first 2 years, and we had a great core of kids. When they came back for their senior year, much better improved mentally wise. And I told them that every day. I said, you guys, you're more focused this year.
Yeah, sure.
And I like it. You're making me and Wynot's job a lot easier, and so they kind of made they made our jobs easier, and it was a great experience being up there for those few years. And while I was doing that, I also got involved in bartending in the restaurant business.
Sure.
And which has led me to where I am now in my life, which is a restaurant owner at Peppercorns in Hicksville. And so, it was a bunch of years in between my last coaching gig from Friends and, to where I am now as far as an owner.
Sure.
But I never really got away from the game.
Oh, it's hard to.
It really is.
Because and something, and like a common theme with every conversation, whether it's on this podcast or you just see some old buddies, like it really is about the relationships. So you think about, 20 years of your life, realistically, probably at least at that time, 15 years of your life, you've been playing lacrosse with buddies, you've been playing sports with friends, and it just doesn't disappear.
My best friends who I talk to every day, whether it's a text, whether it's a phone call, whether it's checking in, something. Those are all my first PAL guys. I see my first PAL coach every day at my restaurant, George Howard. I have his picture hanging up in our restaurant.
Sure.
And it's one sport that, and I'm sure every sport can relate if you're in it, as long as, obviously.
Every team sport for sure.
And lacrosse, though, for me, I mean, it's a special camaraderie that I've heard that word used since I was a kid, starting to play lacrosse, that, you're going to see this as you get older. It's just, you're never going to lose touch with these guys. You're never going to get out of the sport. Even you don't have to pick up a stick for years. And, as soon as you grab one, you'd be like, you're right back in it. Your head's right there. Yep. So, so now now I'm the owner of Peppercorns. We just celebrated our 3rd year anniversary. My partner Sean and I.
Congratulations!
Thank you. And I've taken a lot of a lot of core things from coaches that I've worked with or had in my life, and to bring onto the restaurant floor, that you have to do every day as far as making something work like a team.
So I've actually never worked in the food service industry on any level, and every time I go to a restaurant, I'm just amazed. I'm like, how does this place function? I don't get, every restaurant to me, it's almost like magic. But obviously, I can look at it and say, well, it's obviously a team, and you have your managers, and you have all that good stuff. So, what's it like for you, being an owner?
Me,
you're not just a bartender anymore, like you said you started as.
Right.
So now you're in charge. You're the head coach.
I'm a head coach again. It's but I'm still reporting to somebody.
Sure.
And I have to report to the customers.
Right.
So even though I'm the owner and I have that leverage of coming and leaving whenever I want, I have to answer to somebody, and it's them.
Sure.
Because then their conventional word of mouth, it's succeeded by stuff like food reviews, social media marketing, stuff like that.
Sure.
And it's and then if we get unfavorable feedback, it comes back to me. And so, the way I look at running a restaurant, to be honest, it's controlled chaos.
Yeah, I would assume so.
People think, you got the keys to the kingdom. You have your first restaurant. You got to be making all this money, this, that, and everything else. Life has got to be so good, and it's tough. It's not. Listen, I love it. I wouldn't have fallen in love with it 20 years ago if I first took my first bartending gig.
Sure.
I'm so lucky every day where I get to meet new people. I work with a great team. My partner is a great guy. We're surrounded by a core of people that, not everyone's going to agree on the same thing. Not everyone's going to see eye to eye.
Sure.
And that's where you got to bring in the coaching part.
Yeah.
Where I bring in, stuff I learned on the field, and I bring it into the restaurant. Just because this one's slacking a little bit doesn't mean, that this whole thing is not going to work out.
Right.
And it's almost like looking at it like a team, and I should start all my top guys.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be always your top guys.
Right.
You got to figure out what kind of day you're about to face, whether it's a holiday, whether it's a certain party, whether it's a certain, slow night, or you have, the people that are coming in, who do you want to put as the face, like behind the bar or on the floor? And it's like scouting another team.
Wait, so are you saying you could have an idea of your employees' strengths, and then depending on the type of night you're going to have, 100%. Let's put them there, let's put them here, because that's where everyone's going to do best?
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. That's really cool.
And you can see that, and you go back and you'd be like, okay, we did this. We used this person last year for this, but then we threw him in almost like the same situation another time, and it was like a little different. We didn't get the feedback we wanted sometimes from the customer.
Right.
Let's maybe try this one, because this one did this with this last week with this party. Let's try and do it with this. Let's go with this route. And
that's interesting.
because everyone's personalities are different. I try at least to match up who's going to be, like, especially with the bar.
Sure.
Since I know the bar like the back of my hand, I wanted that personality to be behind the bar that I know the customer's going to like, that they're, they can be spoken to. I want the customer to feel very comfortable with the bartender, like a player would with, say a young player would with his first coach.
Yeah.
Because I'll be honest, when I met George Howard the first time, it was not the most welcoming sight. Thank God your brother was there, But yeah. It was it was. I was like, oh man, this guy's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But it can hold you back from being like, okay, what should I get? Because say a woman comes in and she sees someone behind the bar. To her, she might not seem all that. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess to her, she might not think the bartender is all confident with himself.
Sure.
And she wants to order a martini, but she'll look at him and be like, oh, he can maybe pour a draft beer or something like that,
Right.
And, but when I put my bartenders behind the bar, I'm confident in them that I know that they're going to go out there, they're going to introduce themselves, tell them their name, how you doing, make them feel comfortable right at the bat, so that beer thing, that the beer thought doesn't even come into their head, is gone. And they're like, I want that martini.
That's interesting. So you're really talking about the psychology of someone who sits at the bar and subconsciously, I mean, maybe consciously, but subconsciously they sit down and they're like, this bartender's not going to know what I want or how I like it. So I'm just going to get something easy.
Oh, yeah.
And easy, easy means they're probably not going to be satisfied, right? They probably won't spend as much time there, and they probably won't be spending as much money either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. That's
really
cool.
And I mean, I still go to places, and I do the same thing. I can sit down, and I can, not immediately, but I can get a feel for a bartender or a server off the bat. Just being, I think a lot of people can, especially, and you don't have to be a restaurant owner, you don't have to be a bartender, you don't have to be like you.
Yep.
You've never been in the industry.
Right.
You can just go to dinner, so you can go out to dinner so many times, and you'll know.
Yep.
You can get a feel for, what kind of server you're going to have, bartender, and so forth.
Yeah.
You just want, the main thing is you want your customer happy.
Sure.
By the end of the night, or just as soon as they sit down, to be honest. And that's how, with coaching and me, I just want, when I started coaching at Friends, I was the young guy and I wasn't that far off age-wise with these kids. And I just basically told them, I'm here to just have a fun time with you guys. Practices should be fun. Everything, whether it's practice or games, everything should be fun. You should be having fun out there. Focus on each other and your own playing, the way you play on that field. And that's how I try and bring in to the restaurant. I don't like hearing when people are saying, oh, this one did that one. It's like, if they did something wrong, don't be coming to us, in the middle of a busy shift or, saying things out loud. You wait. And then after the shift, that's the practice. That's the time you start talking, or before the shift. That's why we have pre-shift meetings. And, we do all that stuff because you want to encourage everyone to just go out there and do whatever. Like even a busboy or a bus girl, you want them. God forbid the waitress is stuck behind in the kitchen waiting on an order. I want my staff to actually encourage these kids to listen. Take on my role for like 5 minutes if you have to. Right. You never know if someone might go down. You have to, they have to be encouraged to take on all positions.
Next man up. Yeah.
Like in any game.
Sure.
Goalie can go down, and the top midfielder might have some goalie.
Yeah.
Goalie equipment is equipment.
He was a goalie in 8th grade. Yeah. Sure.
So it's that's the whole thing, and you just more and more every obviously in this time right now, obviously things are the way they are. But we have such a good core of employees at the restaurant where it's a tight knit family, and and like that's how a team becomes. Right.
Right, and I think to your point, like a major theme is whether it's a family, whether it's a group of individuals who want to come together. Like when you're in the heat of the moment, whether it's a busy night at a restaurant or a tough game on the field, it's like things are going to go wrong. People aren't going to always be happy, whether players employees, waiters, bartenders, they're not going to be happy. But as long as we're moving in the same direction, we can figure it out on the fly and move forward, right?
100%.
Yeah,
And that's,
yeah.
and,
And I think that's where the biggest discrepancies come, and I assume it would be the same in the restaurant industry.
oh,
That
absolutely.
if those conflicts aren't moving in the same direction, a lot of times there's nothing you can do about it, and it will derail, for the short term, and then obviously if it snowballs, it could derail for the long term.
That's the whole thing, and the way I look at that, it's like almost like it's like progression almost.
Yeah.
Where the wheels are going to spin off. I mean, you're going to have your nights where your games where things are just going to go not the way you want them to go, not the way you thought they were going to go coming into.
Sure.
But you have to progress with the ship, or you have to progress with the game, and
right.
you have to manage. You have to, you just have to get into it and go with what you're given, and everyone has to just make it work. And if the one person doesn't make that work, then everyone else is just going to do their own thing, and you're not going to win a game. You're not going to make a night 10 times better by doing it by yourself.
Sure.
You have to come together. And because at the end of the day, you're not leaving there, or you're not leaving the field saying, "Wow, I did a great job. I did a great job." I don't want that in my restaurant. I don't want that in any team that I coach.
Right.
I want the whole team to be like, "Wow, we did a great job tonight."
Yeah.
We had some bumps and bruises there, but we got through it. And win or lose, I can look back on that and know that as a team, we did put everything into it.
Right. And as an owner, you're really trying to evaluate and manage, what kind of conflict is really happening.
Mm-hmm.
Is it major where I really have to address it, or is it not? It's just a part of the heat that's happening, and then we just move on. And I guess that's where it gets tricky, because you're just working with, I don't know how many people are in your restaurant at once, but I would assume you're looking at 10s and 20s of people.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone's got their own agendas. Everyone's got their own ideas. Everyone's got their own emotions. So managing that, I'm sure, is incredibly difficult.
Well, that's it, too. And like I said, going back before, to what I said about you've never been in the business. But when you deal with certain people, it's almost like everyone's been in the business here and there.
Right.
They all know what they're talking about. And so I'm dealing, not just myself, my partner, we're dealing with people coming at us at all angles,
right.
Whether it's the customers, whether it's social media, whether it's the waitresses, whether it's the kitchen. And the kitchen itself is a whole nother animal. If anyone knows, chefs are crazy. And the chefs, in all honesty, they are the quarterback, to
right.
that floor. They are the leader that, everything goes by him. He puts out his product, and he has to stand by that product.
Right. Right.
So, and it's tough because you got, for our restaurant, the most part, our servers are women. So, when you got the outfit and you got the female there, in his heat, and when it's busy back there, and he's trying to put out that product, you can see where things can get a little scrappy.
Yeah.
But that's when Sean and I come in, and we try and just, level it out. And it's, it's like an uneven playing field. We have two different egos.
Sure.
You gotta make it all work.
Yep.
And I feel, that I brought a lot of that, in both places. And like last year, being able to, when I coached with LAU Post last year with you guys,
yep.
Which, probably, to date, just one of the greatest experiences I had, because just great kids to work with, great kids to, just to get to know and
yep.
talk to.
Yep.
Both on a player's level, player coach level, and just on a personal level.
Sure.
And they were teaching me things. I mean, obviously I had been out of the game for so long. They were teaching me things just on how to, on life.
Yeah.
My basic morals too.
Sure.
And,
well, I think when you're doing it right, it just becomes a two-way street.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know? Well, I mean, when you approach it the right way, you're going to be doing a lot of teaching and you're going to be doing a lot of learning because, like you said, they're individuals with their own needs, their own wants, their own emotions. Whether it's an employee or an athlete, it's really all the same. So
100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you can make it work, it's going to be easy on both sides.
Yep. Yep.
And because if you don't want to make it work, I mean, that's when, you got to start taking a step back and be like, things are going to have to change here.
Right.
But because, I mean, that's all we, at the restaurant, that's all we really ask for from our employees. I mean, and I think we've instilled, with them that we are, Sean and I, we're approachable. We're not those owners that, you can't talk to or
sure
are never there because we're always there.
Yep.
And that's, that's the same thing I tell my kids, even at with pros, I said, even though I'm not coaching there anymore, like you guys can always talk to me, contact me, and I'm sure the same with you.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I bump into high school coaches, PAL coaches, and it's like, yo, coach, what's up? You know? Like you're still the coach.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
We still remember so many of our guys as coach. My cousin, who is one of my PAL coaches, I still call him coach. He coaches over at Mepham now. And
nice.
It's just, I mean, that's the one thing that I love about, being able to coach and being an owner is that both of them come together in such a beautiful way that
sure.
you can express, you can use both angles of how you do coaching, how you do something in a restaurant, and you can bring it all back. You can bring it all onto one field, and it all equals out.
Sure. Yeah.
God knows it's made my life a lot easier.
Right.
Right. And also when you go in things with a clear mind as well.
Sure.
When everything's cleared out, you're able to take a look back at, okay, let's take a look back at this.
Right.
What happened in this situation? What happened in that situation? Okay, and then you either call the player or you call the employee in. Like, all right, listen, I'm not mad at you. I'm not gonna yell, but and that's what I like about like the new coaching now. Like, you can go back to things where as a player, for me, I didn't have that.
Right.
I didn't have the coach being like, here, look at this, rewind this, and blah blah blah. Even though we had VCRs, it took forever to tape together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That wasn't happening.
Yeah. I think I had to wait like 3 or 4 days for our film guy to text just to get things together.
Yeah. So like you just touched on after like the post, after a long night at the restaurant or something like that. Mm-hmm. Do you have a structured routine, whether it's with your staff or just by yourself? Like you said, like clear mind, go over things. Like, is there a structure to it, or do you?
Yeah, you have to, because if you don't have structure, then it's just all going to be lost.
Yeah.
And,
is there anything specifically that you do that helps you get to that point?
I had some issues personally with myself that, for a couple of years, I had things all a mess. It wasn't all together.
Okay.
I was able to get myself together and, reconstruct my whole life.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah.
And I'm still in the middle of it. I'm still learning every day. But the one thing is you need structure. You need to look at yourself first of all, you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, whether it's on you, whether it's on an employee, whether it's on a player, whether you're a coach, you're an assistant coach, an owner, a manager, you got to be able to look yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, this is how we're going to fix this. This is on me. This is my job to fix this.
Yep.
And I'm going to talk to whoever I need to talk to and figure this out. So what I like to do, say after a busy night, God forbid something, went awry, whatever. And it's like, all right, take a deep breath. There's no sense in yelling. There's no sense in yelling.
Yep.
You could be mad, but the yelling just gets you nowhere.
Right. It'll probably just make things worse, really.
It really does. And I've learned a lot that, yelling just gets you nowhere. And I've done a lot of yelling in my life.
Sure.
And I look back at it, I'm like, oh, man, I can still, why? But, so I like to, go home, take the dog for a walk, think about everything. And I keep a journal, and I write down everything.
Okay.
Everything gets written down now.
Professionally? Like what's happening at work?
Everything.
Okay.
I write down everything. I have about 5 or 6 journals now.
Okay.
So, because I think pen to paper is so much better than, or if you could just, if you have a journal on your computer.
I agree, though. I'm definitely a writer. I definitely like pen to paper. And when I really need to buckle down and get things done, it's always about writing for me. So I definitely relate to that.
And it's a good release, too.
Yeah.
So I like to write down everything so it's fresh. And it's there. And it's like, okay, get a good night's rest. And, get up in the morning, eat a nice breakfast, light breakfast, take the dog for a walk again, come home, do a workout, open the journal, and revisit what went on last night or what happened the day before.
Okay.
And be like, okay, this is what we have to, look at. This is what we have to tackle today. How am I going to do this? What's my approach? Am I going to go, am I going to do the phone call? Am I going to do the text? Am I going to do face-to-face?
Sure.
I've learned that texting and phone calls really, especially texting. Texting gets you nowhere.
Texting's tough because you never know how somebody interprets the tone.
Right.
And that, it could get messy.
So texting can get messy and get messy real quick.
Yep.
So I've cut that out. Unless I just basically tell the person, we need to have a talk today.
Right. Set something up for later. Sure.
Yeah. And I don't like to make the person wait. I don't want them to feel, oh, God, what did I do? Because I used to hate that, we'll talk about it tomorrow. It's like, oh, man. Next thing you know, you land in your bed, it's 3 a.m, your eyes are wide open. So my approach is I like doing face-to-face. You can give the respect to the person. They can give the respect back to you, right, face-to-face. You can see their reaction.
Yep.
They can see, the reaction, the concern in your face. And I think, it shows respect on both ends.
Sure.
And respect goes a long way these days. So, I tackle the situation. I tell the person, what exactly, is bothering me.
Yeah.
What I saw the night before, or, if I heard something, someone talking, whatever it is, whatever the situation may be. And, you got to explain to them. You don't have to talk to them like a baby. You talk to them like an adult,
Right.
No matter what the age level, whether it's a busboy or to your highest bartender, highest waiter, waitress. You treat them with the same amount of respect. You talk to them with the same amount of respect. And you don't belittle them. You don't, you talk to them in a manner that they're going to understand.
Sure.
And because at the end of the day, they might have screwed up, and the customer might have said something to us.
Yep.
And it comes down on short enough,
Right.
And that's where we need to step up, and we're like, okay, you might have screwed up on this or did this or whatever, but at the end of the day, it comes down on me, and I'm the face of this place, and I'm the one that needs to right the ship.
Right. Sure.
And I like to talk to them, take in what they have to say, like and I hear them out,
Right. Right.
I might have missed something.
Well, I would assume in a lot, not all, but in a lot of cases, their intent could make a big difference.
100%.
Well, this is what I meant, but this is what happened. All
Exactly.
right. Well, that's, and depending on what that intent was, all right, well, we can work through that. Or if that's what your intent was, this place probably isn't for you.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, because for me, ethos is big. It's a big thing.
Yep.
Their character.
Sure.
With them, it's, when they talk to me, like, it's not only I'm sitting down talking to them about the certain situation, it's then I want to get the situation nailed and then be like, all right, now how can we grow on this? Where can we go from this? How can we avoid it again?
Right.
Something I did, is it something that I didn't tell you to do, or is it something that my partner didn't say?
Yeah, did I set you up for failure by accident, not knowing it?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did anything happen in the kitchen? I have to hit every single level of where something could have gone wrong and
Sure.
where I missed.
Sure.
Because, listen, I'm not going to make it perfect. Nothing is going to be perfect. But I want to make it correct so we can limit the number of that happening ever again.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that. And I could imagine you must get positive and negative feedback from customers like nonstop.
Daily.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people who really don't care. They'll just tell you exactly how they feel about their experience.
100%. And for me personally, I don't. If someone's going to tell me about, I have a lot of customers that come to me and they're like, "Oh, did you see the review on this? Did you see the review on that?" And I'm honest with them. I say I don't read Yelp. I don't go on those things.
Right.
My partner does. My staff does. Because I'm not a foodie. I'm in this industry. I still don't consider myself a foodie. I still don't consider myself a professional bartender, a professional mixologist. I consider myself still just a customer, to be honest.
Right.
And, I don't go on those things for a reason because you didn't get your French onion soup with too much cheese, the amount of cheese you wanted. It's like, I don't need the full page review on just bashing my kitchen. You
turn that into something bigger than it really is.
Yeah. And a lot of those people on those websites, they like to bash the health. And for me, that's where it becomes personal. I'm like, don't go after my staff, because
a lot of times the people that are the loudest on that stuff can be the most negative.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm sure, and as an owner, I'm sure it's tough to read that stuff.
It's tough to read and it's tough to bite your tongue.
Yeah.
Because if you're going after an employee of mine, I can take punches. I'll take them all day.
Yep.
I've taken enough in my lifetime where I can take them for the rest of my life.
Yeah. No, I got you.
And it's, if you got something to say about my staff or my partner or anything, please come to me.
Sure.
I'm not gonna fight you. I'm gonna hear you out, and I'm gonna, see what's bothering you and how I can avoid it, and how can I make your next visit a more memorable one.
Sure. Yeah. And that's important.
And it's just little things. It's just the little things that can make such a difference in the restaurant or on the field.
Yeah, no doubt.
That split second decision where you can, call a timeout and be like, okay, so I see this, or a player calls a timeout because he sees something. Right. Or she sees something, and you take that in, bing, bang, boom, and there's the winning goal.
Right. Yep.
Yep. Those are the split decision, moments that you have to take advantage of. And, in the restaurant business and, as a coach, they happen a lot.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, with this, going into this whole COVID thing.
Sure.
Obviously everybody broadsided by it, completely caught off guard.
Yeah.
But when it started to, the domino effect started happening, I had to really jump right out. I remember I was sitting on my couch when, they started mentioning about, possible closings, possible cancellations here, possible this. And I'm like,
right.
holy Christ. I'm like, I got to figure out what we're going to do. Like, what is our plan for this if we have to shut our doors?
Sure.
And, I called Sean and I said, listen, we have to get together. We have to do this. We have to have a plan of attack.
Yeah.
And, we were able to have something set where as soon as the decision was made on March 16th that, we could still keep the doors open the next day and be ready for, what we're going to do. We were ready for the takeout. We were ready for delivery service.
Yeah.
We had that plan set in place, because a lot of places didn't, and they had to, really just scramble. And,
yeah,
a lot of them, unfortunately, their doors are shut already.
Yeah, right.
It's a shame. So,
yeah.
But, it's just, every day with this COVID thing, that's another thing. We're just learning and learning every day.
Right.
On how to make our business still better. We've had meetings already looking into the future.
Right.
When we can open again, how can we come out of the gates running? How
Sure.
can we be prepared enough? It's like looking down the road, after, a regular season, you make the playoffs, you get knocked out.
Yep.
All right, let's get the ball rolling for next season.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it happens right away. Sure.
Like I said to the guys at the meeting last week, I said, before we know it, we could be open, May 16th, and, I want to be ready to go, guns a-blazing. Let's just grab this bull by the horns and go nuts.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess it goes back to those mini decisions and those mini, conflicts that you have to figure out.
Yep.
Right there on the spot. Yeah. And then it's like, all right, well, how are we executing right this second, but also how are we planning for, just like how it was completely almost out of the blue and real quick how all the doors got closed. It's like, well, we don't even know when the doors are going to open. So how are we planning for that when we don't even know when it's going to be?
And that's been the scariest thing, is the unknown.
Sure.
It's the unknown. And,
and I don't think it gets any tougher than that.
No. And, I know I'm not alone in saying it, but that I think has been the biggest fear for everyone.
Yeah.
And the unknown is that's a scary, scary reality.
Yeah.
And, because then, okay, am I going to be able to buy milk tomorrow? Am I going to be able to get the dog food? Am I going to be able to get my son and daughter,
Sure.
clothes for the summer? What's like car payments, house payments?
Yeah.
It is so frightening because you just don't know when the next paycheck's coming in, if the government's going to be helping me out.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
And for us, we had to worry about we were worried about everyone, our whole staff. It's like,
that's a whole nother, that's a whole nother thing that most people don't have to, most people don't have to shoulder that, it's like your family. And
I had
a lot of people aren't bosses, and a lot of people don't pay someone's payroll. So
and I had to be the one to call everyone that day on March 16th and being like, sorry, right now you don't have a job.
Yeah. That's a dark day.
And that was hard.
That
was a hard thing for me to do.
I'm sure. But it sounds like you guys have been approaching it like the most productive way, where you had the plan, you had execution, and now you're even thinking, weeks and months in advance.
Yeah, I think our whole focus on this was just keep everyone happy. Let everyone know that we're still here. We're not going anywhere.
Yep.
And I think for Sean and I, we've been there every day. So it's been good for the customers to see our faces.
Yeah, sure.
We're not just, throwing our manager there and our chef there and be like, okay, you guys handle it.
Right.
We're not going to just, leave the ship. So we had to, we had to grab this thing and we had to go with it. We had to run. We had a plan. We attacked it. We're attacking it still.
Sure.
unfortunately, there was a lot of parties we had to cancel.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the unknown, because then people are asking for certain things back.
Sure.
And, I had to figure out, okay, when can I get certain things back to these people? And, but what in the middle can I do just to comfort them, so I can make sure that they know that they're not being forgotten about, and we're doing the right thing. So, with certain parties, I've been calling them, reassuring, hey, how you guys doing? Checking in on their families, just to let them know that we're still there. Right. We're not going anywhere. We're going to do the right thing for them. And that's been, for them, and so many parties have just said, listen, we're going to rebook with you guys.
Yeah. Right.
Decided whenever you guys are ready to do it, we'll rebook. Just by a simple little phone call.
Just a little communication. That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I hear
you. It
you.
goes a long, long way.
I hear you. So that's awesome, man. Let's wrap it up here.
Okay.
Great insights, great information, great advice, everything, great lessons. But before we go, just let everybody know where they can find you, where they can learn more about you.
Sure. You guys can reach me at peppercornsny.com. My restaurant's website. You can visit me at Peppercorns here in Hicksville, 25 East Marie Street. And that's about it. Instagram is peppercorns_NY.
Okay.
And you can message us. I'm usually on that, controlling that whole forum. So if any of you guys want to reach out to me there, I'm always there. So, this has been a great opportunity for me. MDP and Jimmy and Scott, this has been awesome. So I thank you guys.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I appreciate your time.
You guys have been doing a great job with this, so keep it going, and I wish you guys all the best.
You've been listening to the Lead Domino podcast powered by MDP. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Reach out. We'd love to chat and learn more about you and how we can help. Visit us at mdplacrosse.com and follow us on Instagram at MDP Lacrosse Training and at Lead Domino Media. Until next time, respect, inspire, and support yourselves and each other.